Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway. Shop online and get $30 off your first online order when you use code SAVE30 at checkout. Get the same prices, deals, and rewards as in-store. Get started at Safeway.com or the Safeway app.
If things are looking a little hazy this morning, that might be smoke that is coming from fires in northern Arizona and Utah. Colorado has its own fires, mainly on the western slope. As of this recording, those fires don't have any injuries reported, and the damage to the buildings are limited. But they're also not contained as of this recording. You can get the very latest info at the link in our show notes. I'm Arlo Pérez Esquivel. Coming up, Planned Parenthood tells thousands of people it can't serve them anymore.
It is not legal for us to serve Medicaid patients today, Colorado.
We'll explain why and what that means for patients. Then, instead of saving a life, a paramedic in Boulder is charged with manslaughter.
You have some extraordinary, egregious issues at play.
Hear what prosecutors say went wrong. Plus,
I asked him about being happy the same way my high school friends asked me about being gay. So what do you people do exactly? How do you do it?
we remember Colorado's most prominent poet who died yesterday. It's Tuesday, July 15th. Here's the news in Colorado today. Planned Parenthood of the Rocky Mountains is notifying thousands of patients that they won't be able to get their care at their clinics anymore. That's for birth control, annual checkups, STD tests, and more. This is one of the more immediate changes to healthcare included in the new Trump tax and spending bill. CPR's John Daly is here to explain.
Hey, Arlo.
John, what does this bill exactly do?
Well, it bars people from using their Medicaid health insurance to get care of any kind at Planned Parenthood nationwide. Republicans and abortion opponents really wanted to target the clinics because they provide abortion care. However, it's already been illegal to use Medicaid to cover the cost of an abortion. People have been using their Medicaid coverage at Planned Parenthood for other things as well, of course. And it's important to understand that according to Planned Parenthood of the Rocky Mountains CEO, one implication of this new federal law is that if you're on Medicaid, you cannot receive treatment at their clinics in Colorado, even if you don't bill Medicaid for it. And they posted that on their website as well.
And that's even if people want to self-pay.
That's right. And this part is not nationwide, but is special to Colorado because of a state law. Here's Jack Teeter with Planned Parenthood of the Rocky Mountains.
What the bill says is that Planned Parenthood is no longer a Medicaid provider. And if you're not a Medicaid provider in Colorado, you cannot legally see Medicaid patients.
Okay, and regarding this big Republican tax law that punishes Planned Parenthood, does it specifically name Planned Parenthood, and is that legal?
Well, no, it doesn't specifically name Planned Parenthood, but it's written in a way that only applies to them. And whether it's legal is up for debate. Planned Parenthood filed suit in Massachusetts. It claims the law violates its free speech.
And Planned Parenthood is known for offering some free or very low-cost services. Do the patients who use Medicaid at these clinics in Colorado have other options?
They do, though we know that other providers are also stretched thin at the moment. Even in places like Denver, where there are other providers, wait lists are long. The state's Medicaid agency says it is looking to line up providers for those affected.
And then talking about Planned Parenthood patients who don't use Medicaid, what does this all mean for the clinic's viability? Can they stay open?
Well, there are about a dozen Planned Parenthood clinics in Colorado. They do serve a lot of people who are not on Medicaid. Planned Parenthood of the Rocky Mountains says about a third of their patients use Medicaid, so that's a lot, but it's not everyone. And as you say, the question is, will the loss of Medicaid funding mean the clinics will have to close or reduce services they offer as it relates to their other clientele? I guess the short answer is it's too soon to know, but losing that insurance money from a third of its patients, conceivably could lead to cuts.
Now, nationally, Planned Parenthood is suing to try and block the change. How else are they responding locally?
Well, they're trying to get the word out to the community, hoping people will stand up and speak out. But their CEO here in Colorado says what they really need is ongoing revenue and support at the state level. Of course, the state's budget is in rough shape, so a lot of this, I think, is TBD.
CPR health reporter John Daly. Thank you.
You bet.
A paramedic has been charged with manslaughter after he gave a sedative to someone in the custody of CU Boulder campus police. Charges against paramedics for in-custody deaths are rare, but it comes after the most high-profile example when 2 paramedics were found guilty of criminally negligent homicide in Elijah McClain's death. CPR's Ben Marcus is covering this story. Ben, this seems to mark a really significant change on how the work of a paramedic is seen as potentially criminal at times.
Like you said, it is rare, and I don't think that prosecutors are necessarily nitpicking how paramedics are doing their job when they're trying to help people in a chaotic scene like this. But both the Elijah McClain death in 2019 and this case, you have some extraordinary and some egregious issues at play, like the use of a powerful sedative, not following best practices, and then, of course, there's a lot of body cam from officers capturing the incident.
So let's focus on what happened on this case in Boulder. It happened last December, but the charges were just filed now?
Right. So it was late December. A 36-year-old man is at a CU Boulder building. He's, quote, making nonsensical statements, trying to destroy property. This is according to the DA's investigation. The man's autopsy finds that he's on methamphetamine at the time. Officers have to wrestle him to the ground. He tries to grab the officer's gun. The DA has cleared the officers, saying that their use of force in this case was justified. But then the paramedics come. They work for a private company, AMR. One of the paramedics, Edward McClure, gives the suspect a sedative. It's called droperidol, and it comes with a black box warning that a dose of 2.5 milligrams or more can be fatal in certain situations, and McClure administered twice that dose, 5 milligrams.
Wow, so that's where the charge of manslaughter is based on.
It's partly that and also the situation. Officers on scene did not ask for sedation. In fact, when the dose was about to be administered by the paramedics, the officers backed away and said this was not part of their protocol. One of the officers on scene tells a commanding officer he didn't ask for it. McClure allegedly didn't do any real medical assessment before he gave the sedative. McClure is employed by this company, AMR, American Medical Response. They fired him a few days after this incident in December, and they said that he had violated several of their protocols. They said in a letter to him, quote, that he failed to follow accepted standards of care and administer medications or treatments in a responsible manner. He put a spit sock over this man's head. He put him on the gurney in an awkward way, face down with handcuffs on. You mentioned how long it's been since the incident. The Boulder DA's office added that that's in part because AMR was not cooperating with their investigation. They hadn't made staff members available for interviews, not until just the last few weeks. The DA had to fight for records from the company. AMR told us that they believed they had fully cooperated and will continue to do so going forward.
Now, going back to the death of Elijah McClain, were there any big changes to protocols for paramedics after that?
Big changes in rules and culture. The use of the term excited delirium, for instance, which is frequently used as justification for sedating upset people, that's essentially been barred from use. Instead, police and especially paramedics are supposed to carefully evaluate patients before sedating them. And the DA says that didn't happen here.
CPR's investigative reporter Ben Marcus, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Colorado's poet laureate, Andrea Gibson, died yesterday. They lived in Boulder County and died of ovarian cancer at 49 years old. Those close to Gibson made the announcement on social media with a pre-written statement that Gibson had written themselves. It said, "Whenever I leave this world, whether it's 60 years from now, I wouldn't want anyone to say that I lost some battle. I will be a winner that day." The writing is raw, honest, self-aware, and sometimes hilarious. They focus on love, identity, social justice, and life, both meditating on the beauty of it and the difficulty that comes with being alive.
I have a few happy friends. I ask them about being happy the same way my high school friends ask me about being gay. So what do you people do exactly? How do you do it? Their answers are never as freaky as I would hope. Almost always they answer God or booze. One I don't tolerate, the other I'm told doesn't tolerate me.
Gibson toured the world as a spoken word artist and published 7 albums and 7 poetry books. In 2008, Gibson won the first Woman of the World Poetry Slam. They then became a 2-time winner of the Independent Publishers Award.
We need so much less than we take. We owe so much more than we give. Squirrels plant thousands of trees every year just from forgetting where they left their acorns. If we aim to be just half as good as one of the Earth's mistakes, we could turn so much around.
In 2021, Gibson was diagnosed with cancer. Those around them said they became a champion of finding beauty in unlikely places and gratitude in the hardest hours. In a 2023 interview with Style Like You, Gibson shared how the diagnosis also gave them a sense of healing.
I was the most scared person I had ever known. I was an extreme hypochondriac, and I don't say that casually. I mean, it ruled my life. And up until I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, it was only worsening. When I got diagnosed, all of that went away in an instant. The worst thing that I could imagine happening happened, and there was almost like this relief because I had been bracing for it my entire life.
Governor Jared Polis named Gibson Colorado's 10th Poet Laureate in 2023.
Andrea's work has touched millions, and we are thrilled that Andrea will now be able to connect with Coloradans of all ages.
At the time, Gibson wrote, they were initially worried about accepting the post because their health would limit their ability to do in-person events, and they were afraid that they might not live long enough for their 2-year term. Gibson ultimately decided to take the role, in part to open possibilities for more chronically ill and disabled poets. And as Poet Laureate, Gibson was an ambassador for the arts and did hold public events. Many of the participants in those events had lost loved ones. According to the poet, offering comfort for those grieving was the inspiration for a work they wrote just 6 months ago called Love Letter from the Afterlife.
I am more here than I ever was before. I am more with you than I ever could have imagined. So close you look past me when wondering where I am. It's okay. I know that to be human is to be far-sighted. But feel me now, walking the chambers of your heart, pressing my palms to the soft walls of your living. Why did no one tell us that to die is to be reincarnated in those we love while they are still alive?
Andrea Gibson died in their home, surrounded by their wife, 4 ex-girlfriends, their mother, father, dozens of friends, and their 3 beloved dogs. According to those close to them at the end, one of the last things Gibson said before dying has a word that we can't read on public media, but it boils down to, I loved my life. Reporting for today's show also came from CPR's Megan Verlee. And a note, Bozzy is back tomorrow. Thank you for listening, and consider supporting Colorado Today. To do so, the link is in our show notes. I'm Arlo Perez Esquivel. This is CPR News.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org. Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway. Their pharmacists are here to help you and your family stay protected, offering a wide range of vaccines, including flu shots and COVID-19 boosters. Stop into the store or schedule online at safeway.com/pharmacy.